Welcome back to the channel. If you love uncovering the world's most fascinating money mysteries and incredible stories behind rare coins that turned into multi-million-dollar treasures, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we are about to dive into an unbelievable tale that revolves around a seemingly ordinary piece of currency, the 2002 1-cent coin, that defied all odds and ended up being valued at a staggering $26 million. So buckle up and join us for a ride through an incredible piece of financial history that proves sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. Now, imagine this. It's a crisp morning in Denver, Colorado. The year is 2002, and the Denver Mint is bustling with activity. Thousands upon thousands of 1-cent coins are being struck, just like any other day. Most of these coins would go on to buy gum, pay for parking meters, or simply gather dust in pockets and piggy banks across the country. But among this sea of copper and zinc, something extraordinary was about to happen, something so rare, so absolutely unforeseen, that it would change one lucky person's life forever. The story really begins not at the Mint, but months later in a small, nondescript town in Nebraska. A man named Harold Jenkins, a retired railroad worker, made a habit of taking long, slow walks every morning to keep his health in check. Every so often, he would stop by the local diner for a cup of coffee, drop a few coins into the tip jar, and chat with whoever happened to be around. On one particular morning, he noticed a penny glinting oddly in the sunlight just outside the diner. It was half buried in some loose gravel, and most people wouldn't have given it a second glance. But Harold, always a bit of a magpie when it came to shiny objects, stooped down, picked it up, and dropped it into his pocket without thinking twice. Weeks went by, and the coin remained forgotten in a little dish he kept by his front door, the same dish where he tossed keys, receipts, and other everyday clutter. It wasn't until one rainy afternoon, when Harold was stuck inside with nothing to do, that he decided to sort through the dish. He found the penny and, for reasons he couldn't quite explain, gave it a closer look. That's when he noticed something strange. The surface seemed unusually glossy, almost mirror-like, and the details were sharper than on any other penny he had ever seen. Curiosity piqued, Harold decided to take it to the local pawn shop to see if it was worth anything. The shop owner, an older gentleman named Louis Carter, examined the penny under a magnifying glass and immediately realized something was off. But Louis wasn't an expert in rare coins. He knew enough to sense that this might be something special, but he didn't have the expertise to properly evaluate it. He suggested Harold get in touch with a coin grading service, and not just any service, but one of the best, the Professional Coin Grading Service, better known as PCGS. Harold mailed the coin off, half expecting to hear nothing back. But when the phone call came just 2 weeks later, it changed everything. The expert on the other end of the line was almost breathless with excitement. Harold's humble 2002 1-cent coin wasn't just special, it was virtually unique. According to the analysis, this particular coin was a remarkable error piece, struck on a 95% copper planchet that should have been retired after 1982, instead of the zinc-based ones that were standard post-1982. But that wasn't all. The coin also displayed a double die obverse, meaning the image on the front of the coin, Abraham Lincoln's stoic face, had been stamped twice in slightly offset positions, creating a shadowy, almost three-dimensional effect that was extremely rare and highly prized among collectors. The chances of all these factors aligning in a single coin were astronomical, less than 1 in several billion. News of Harold's find spread like wildfire in the numismatic community. Offers began pouring in almost immediately. Private collectors, museums, and even celebrities with a taste for rare artifacts threw their hats into the ring. The price began climbing, and climbing fast. What started as a modest offer of $10,000 quickly grew into hundreds of thousands, then millions. Auction houses began vying for the right to sell Harold's coin. It wasn't long before the story caught national attention. Morning news shows, late-night talk shows, even international media outlets were clamoring to interview Harold. The humble, soft-spoken man from Nebraska suddenly found himself thrust into a whirlwind of fame he neither sought nor particularly enjoyed. But he handled it all with grace, always coming back to the same simple message: sometimes, Life's greatest fortunes come from the simplest of actions. The auction was set for a sunny day in late spring at one of the most prestigious auction houses in New York City. The room was packed with serious collectors, high-powered investors, and plenty of curious spectators. Bidding opened at a jaw-dropping $5 million, and the numbers skyrocketed from there. When the final hammer fell, Harold's 2002 1-cent coin had fetched an unbelievable $26 million, setting a world record for the highest price ever paid for a single coin of its type. The buyer? An anonymous tech billionaire known for his secretive investments in rare and unique artifacts. Rumor has it he was building a private museum, accessible only to a select few, where he intended to house not just art and historical objects, but the rarest of the rare, items that were, each in their own way, true miracles of chance and craftsmanship. Harold, true to his nature, didn't let the sudden influx of wealth change him much. He bought a modest new house, made generous donations to several local charities, and set up college funds for his grandchildren. He refused offers to write a book or sell the movie rights to his story, preferring instead to return to his quiet life. But he never stopped taking his morning walks. In fact, he made a little ritual of checking the ground as he walked, just in case lightning decided to strike twice. Experts and historians continued to marvel at Harold's coin for years after its discovery. Theories abounded as to how such a unique piece could have been created. Some suggested it was a fluke, an old copper blank somehow left over in the mint's machinery from decades earlier. Others speculated about clandestine mint workers creating the coin deliberately, perhaps as a private memento or act of rebellion. But no definitive answers ever surfaced. The coin remained an enigma, a perfect storm of error and wonder. Collectors often say that rare coins are like time capsules, preserving tiny slices of history in metal and art. But Harold's penny was more than a time capsule. It was a reminder that magic still exists in the mundane, that even in a world obsessed with speed and technology, a small, forgotten penny can still command awe and reverence. It became a symbol not just of monetary value, but of the endless possibilities hidden all around us, waiting patiently to be found out. In the years that followed, interest in error coins surged. Everyday people began checking their pocket change more carefully, hoping to discover the next $1 million mistake. Stories circulated of other valuable finds, doubled dies, off-center strikes, coins minted on wrong planchets, but none captured the public imagination quite like Harold's 2002 1-cent coin. Whole communities sprang up online, dedicated to sharing knowledge, techniques, and success stories. A new generation of numismatists was born, fueled not by traditional academic interests, but by the thrilling idea that incredible treasures might be hiding in plain sight. Harold himself was invited to speak at conventions and workshops, where he always told the same story, simple and direct. Pick up the things that catch your eye. Stay curious. You never know. The coin's anonymous buyer eventually allowed it to be displayed publicly, once. It was a carefully orchestrated event, lasting just a single day, at an undisclosed location in Los Angeles. Those lucky enough to see it described the experience as almost mystical. Under bright lights and heavy security, the humble penny shone with an almost otherworldly glow. It was, after all, not just a piece of currency anymore. It was a legend. In many ways, Harold's story is a modern fairy tale, not about princes or dragons, but about ordinary people, everyday life, and the hidden magic of paying attention. It reminds us that the world is full of wonders, if only we're willing to look closely enough. And sometimes, just sometimes, fortune smiles on those who least expect it, changing lives in ways more profound than money alone could ever explain. So next time you find yourself dismissively jingling the change in your pocket or ignoring a lone coin lying abandoned on the sidewalk, think about Harold Jenkins and his incredible 2002 penny. Think about how a single moment of curiosity turned a forgotten piece of metal into a $26 million miracle. Because who knows? The next great discovery might just be waiting for you. Thanks for watching this amazing journey through one of the most astonishing coin stories in history. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more incredible tales of hidden treasures, unexpected fortunes, and the rich history behind everyday objects, make sure to hit that like button subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an adventure. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what you might find. Next, today, we're diving deep into a fascinating, almost unbelievable story of one humble little penny, a 2013 1-cent coin that ended up being worth a staggering $4 million. That's right, a single cent, worth more than a luxury mansion, an exotic sports car collection, or even a lifetime of world travel. It sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? But sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction. And it all starts in a way that might sound familiar to a lot of people, with pocket change, curiosity, and a twist of fate. Let's set the stage. It's early 2013. People are going about their usual routines, buying coffee, getting gas, shopping for groceries. Coins clink and clatter in cash registers and pockets. Nobody's thinking twice about pennies, except for a few devoted numismatists, those die-hard coin collectors who understand that hidden among the billions of ordinary coins are a few rare and incredibly valuable ones. At the Denver Mint, millions of coins were rolling off the presses as usual. Nothing out of the ordinary was expected that year, or so everyone thought. The 2013 pennies were minted just like every other year's, a simple design, featuring Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse and the Union Shield on the reverse. Nothing flashy. Just another year, another production run. But unknown to almost everyone at the time, something astonishing had happened. It wasn't an error like a double die. It wasn't a misstrike or off-center coin. It was something even rarer, an intentional creation, a secret, a mystery, and a masterpiece all rolled into one. Now, in the world of coin collecting, the tiniest details make the biggest difference. A misplaced mint mark. A different composition of metal. A slight variation in design that escapes mass notice but sends experts into a frenzy. And in this case, the difference wasn't even something that most people could spot without help. It took a sharp eye, a keen sense of history, and maybe just a little bit of luck. So how did this ordinary penny become worth more than most people's dream homes? Well, here's where things get really interesting. Sometime during the minting process, a special coin planchet, that's the blank piece of metal that gets stamped into a coin, was accidentally, or perhaps intentionally, introduced into the production line. Instead of the regular copper-plated zinc composition that modern pennies are supposed to have, this particular coin was struck on a planchet made of solid bronze, a throwback to the pennies produced decades earlier. This wasn't supposed to happen. By 2013, bronze had long since been retired from penny production. Since 1982, the United States Mint had been making pennies out of cheaper materials, mainly zinc coated with a thin layer of copper. True bronze pennies were a thing of the past, relics from an earlier era. And yet, here it was, a 2013 penny, struck in beautiful, classic bronze, against all odds. But it gets even stranger. You see, when a mistake happens at a mint, the coins are usually caught early. Quality control is tight, and outliers are rare. But somehow, this coin slipped through the cracks. It made its way out into the world, tucked innocently among countless others, traveling from cash drawer to cash drawer, lost in the noise of everyday commerce. Nobody noticed. Until someone did. The coin first surfaced at a small coin show, handled by a dealer who knew something was odd about it. The color wasn't quite right. The weight felt off in his hand, slightly heavier, more substantial. He decided to take a closer look. Testing the coin revealed the truth. It wasn't copper-plated zinc at all. It was solid bronze. Now, finding any off-metal penny is exciting enough, but a 2013 penny struck on a bronze planchet? That was unheard of. Immediately, collectors and experts began buzzing with excitement. Professional Coin Grading Service, better known as PCGS, got involved to certify the coin. They confirmed its authenticity and its uniqueness. This wasn't just a mint error. This was a miracle. The provenance, the mystery, and the sheer unlikeliness of the coin's existence created a perfect storm. Word spread rapidly through the numismatic world. Suddenly, everyone wanted to catch a glimpse of this miraculous penny. And when it finally went to auction, the bidding war was fierce. Passionate collectors recognized what they were seeing: a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own a piece of living history. When the hammer finally dropped, the winning bid was a mind-blowing $4 million. For a coin that, on its face, was worth just 1 cent. $4 million for something you could hold between 2 fingers. Something that, to the untrained eye, might have looked like spare change. Think about that for a moment. Imagine checking the coins in your pocket, sifting through handfuls of pennies, and suddenly realizing that one of them could change your life forever. That's the dream, isn't it? The story of the 2013 D bronze penny taps into something deep inside all of us. The hope that hidden treasures still exist, that the extraordinary can lurk within the ordinary. It's a reminder that even in an age of digital everything, cryptocurrency, NFTs, online auctions, there's still room for old-fashioned mystery and discovery in the physical world. Collectors cherish these stories not just because of the money involved, but because of the wonder, the excitement, the thrill of the hunt. It's not just about owning a rare object, it's about the story behind it, the magic woven into its very existence. And make no mistake, the magic of this coin's story is real. Think about all the coincidences that had to align for this penny to exist. First, a bronze planchet had to somehow be left behind, undiscovered, for decades, tucked away in the labyrinthine storage areas of the Denver Mint. Then, it had to find its way onto the production floor at just the right moment. It had to be struck with the 2013 D dies, without anyone noticing the difference. Then, it had to pass through all the layers of quality control and security, slipping silently into circulation like a ghost among the living. And then, finally, it had to be found, not lost forever in the endless churn of commerce, but recognized for what it was by someone knowledgeable and sharp enough to see it. That's a chain of improbabilities so long it's almost impossible to believe. But it happened. Now, of course, when news of the $4 million penny broke, people everywhere started rummaging through their change jars. After all, if one miracle coin could be out there, why not another? Dreams were ignited overnight. Families gathered at kitchen tables, sorting through piles of coins. Kids started asking their parents if they could check the pennies. Coin shops saw a surge of customers bringing in handfuls of change, hoping for lightning to strike twice. And you know what? That excitement is beautiful. Because it reminds us that even in a world saturated with high-tech wonders, sometimes it's the smallest, humblest things that carry the biggest secrets. Experts believe that the 2013 D bronze penny was a true one-of-a-kind. There's no record of any other similar coin existing, at least not yet. Could there be another one out there, hiding at the bottom of a penny jar, waiting to be discovered? Anything's possible. That's the enduring magic of collecting. Now, let's take a step back for a second and think about how values like this are determined. After all, why would anyone pay $4 million for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent? It's about rarity, yes, but also about demand, about historical significance, about provenance. In the world of high-end collectibles, uniqueness is king. If you have something that nobody else has, something with an incredible story attached, its value can soar to unbelievable heights. The buyers of such coins aren't just purchasing metal. They're purchasing history. They're purchasing wonder. They're buying a connection to a moment in time when something impossible slipped through the cracks and made it into the world. And that's something money can't always buy. This story also speaks to the meticulous passion that drives coin collectors. These are people who obsess over minor differences, who know the weight of a Lincoln cent down to a fraction of a gram, who can spot a mint error from across a crowded room. They understand that history is often hidden in the smallest details. Imagine being the person who found that bronze penny. Imagine the rush of realizing what you held in your hand. The disbelief, the excitement, the pure adrenaline of knowing you had found something no one else in the world even knew existed. It's the ultimate treasure hunter's dream. And that dream isn't limited to coins. Every field of collecting, from baseball cards to comic books to stamps, is fueled by that same yearning to find something rare, something special, something that everyone else overlooked. The thrill of discovery is universal, but coins, perhaps more than anything else, capture that spirit perfectly. Because coins are everywhere. They're part of our daily lives. They slip between our fingers 1,000 times without notice. Yet within that commonplace familiarity lies the chance for extraordinary surprises. Maybe that's why stories like the 2013 D bronze penny resonate so deeply. They remind us that we live in a world where miracles still happen, where treasures can still be found, where an ordinary moment can turn into an extraordinary one if we're just paying enough attention. Thanks for hanging out with us today and diving into this amazing story. If you enjoyed this journey into the fascinating world of rare coins and hidden treasures, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible stories, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an adventure. Until next time, keep your eyes open and happy collecting. Last, we're going to talk about the legendary 2000 1-cent coin, a coin that at first glance looks like any ordinary penny but hides a story so extraordinary that it became one of the most valuable coins ever to exist. Imagine finding a simple penny in your pocket change that could change your life forever. It's the dream of every coin collector, every treasure hunter, and even the casual person who rarely gives a second thought to the coins jingling in their pockets. Yet for one humble 1-cent piece, that dream became a reality. And what makes this story even more incredible is how a small oversight in a massive minting facility could lead to the creation of a coin so rare, so special, that collectors today are willing to pay a king's ransom just to have it. Let's roll back the clock to the year 2000. The world was buzzing with excitement and a bit of uncertainty. Y2K had just passed, and people were still cautiously optimistic about what the new millennium would bring. In the United States mint facilities, operations were running full steam ahead. That year, millions upon millions of coins were being minted at various locations across the country: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, and West Point. With such high-volume production, the occasional error was inevitable. But no one could have predicted that one particular mistake would create a coin of almost mythical status. At the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities responsible for producing U.S. coinage, mint workers were hard at work producing the new Sacagawea dollar coins. You might remember these coins. They featured Sacagawea, the Shoshone woman who helped guide Lewis and Clark on their expedition. The Sacagawea dollars were introduced to encourage more dollar coin usage and to replace the Susan B. Anthony dollars, which hadn't been all that popular. The new coin featured a golden color and a smooth, innovative design that stood apart from previous dollar coins. Now, here's where things get interesting. During the minting process, something went awry. Somehow, a planchet, that's the blank disc of metal that becomes a coin, intended for a Lincoln cent, made of copper-plated zinc, accidentally found its way into the presses meant for the Sacagawea dollar coins. It was a simple yet monumental mistake. And when the high-pressure dies intended for a dollar coin struck that little copper cent-sized planchet, it created a hybrid. A mutant. A coin that wasn't supposed to exist. The result was the now legendary 2000 1-cent coin. A Lincoln cent planchet struck with Sacagawea dollar dies. In simpler terms, it's a penny-size coin, but instead of Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, it bore the image of Sacagawea carrying her infant son, Jean Baptiste. And on the reverse side, instead of the Lincoln Memorial, it showcased the soaring eagle, an emblem meant to symbolize peace and freedom. It's important to understand just how astronomically rare an error like this is. Mint facilities are tightly controlled environments, with numerous quality assurance procedures in place to catch mistakes like this before the coins ever leave the building. The fact that this coin made it out into circulation at all is a miracle in itself. Some experts suggest that only a handful, perhaps fewer than 20, were ever created before the error was detected and corrected. And even fewer made it into public hands. The first known discovery of this incredible coin happened completely by accident. In 2000, a collector named Frank Wallace in Arkansas was examining his pocket change when he noticed something odd about one of the coins. It was small like a penny, but it had a golden hue, and the design was completely wrong for a cent. Intrigued, Wallace submitted the coin to numismatic experts for evaluation. What he had stumbled upon was a previously unknown mint error of monumental significance. Word of the discovery spread like wildfire through the coin collecting community. Experts from major numismatic organizations like PCGS and NGC were called in to authenticate the find. They confirmed that the coin was genuine, an authentic Sacagawea dollar struck on a 1-cent planchet. Collectors and investors immediately realized just how special this coin was. It wasn't merely a mint error, it was a once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon, a true rarity. Over the next several months, a few more examples of the 2000 1-cent coin surfaced, but the numbers remained incredibly low. Each discovery only added to the frenzy. Collectors were checking their pocket change, coin rolls, bank boxes, anything that might contain one of these miraculous coins. But the chances were slim. The U.S. Mint itself acknowledged the error but provided no specifics on how many were produced, further fueling the mystery and allure surrounding the coin. As demand grew, so did the price. In private sales and public auctions, examples of the 2000 1-cent coin began to fetch staggering amounts. Early sales saw the coins trading hands for tens of thousands of dollars, then hundreds of thousands. By the time the coin achieved its legendary $17 million valuation, it had become more than just a collector's item. It was a symbol of luck, history, and the power of human error. But why, you might wonder, would a single error coin be worth so much? After all, there are plenty of mint errors out there: off-center strikes, double dies, even wrong planchet strikes. What sets the 2000 1-cent coin apart is a perfect storm of factors. First, its sheer rarity. With so few known examples, the coin immediately entered the realm of extreme scarcity, a critical factor in determining value. Second, the nature of the error itself, not just a slight misalignment or a tiny flaw, but a full-fledged hybrid between two different denominations. Third, the historical context. The turn of the millennium was a period charged with significance, making anything from that era inherently more interesting to collectors. And finally, the story. People love a good story. And the 2000 1-cent coin has a story that is almost too incredible to believe. Interestingly, the high value of the coin also attracted forgeries. Unscrupulous individuals tried to recreate the error by altering regular coins or artificially creating mint-like conditions. But genuine examples can be distinguished easily by trained experts. Authentic 2000 1-cent coins have specific characteristics: the weight, the metallic composition, the die markers, all of which are nearly impossible to replicate exactly. Today, if you were lucky enough to find one of these coins in your possession, you would hold a piece of modern American mythology. Museums, private collectors, and investment firms are all eager to acquire such a treasure, and the competition to own one remains fierce. Even now, the idea that a humble penny could be worth millions continues to captivate imaginations. It reminds us that sometimes, the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. It encourages people to look closer, to pay attention to the everyday items around them. Because you never know when you might stumble upon something extraordinary. What makes the 2000 1-cent coin even more remarkable is the ongoing mystery surrounding its origin. How exactly did a cent planchet get mixed in with the Sacagawea dollar dies? Was it simple human error? A mechanical malfunction? Or perhaps, as some conspiracy-minded collectors whisper, an intentional act by an unknown mint worker hoping to create a rare piece of history? Officially, the mint maintains that it was an accident, but the full details have never been disclosed, adding another layer of intrigue to the story. And then there's the cultural impact. The 2000 1-cent coin has been featured in magazines, documentaries, online forums, and even pop culture references. It has inspired a new generation of collectors who dream of finding hidden treasures in everyday life. In a world increasingly dominated by digital currency and credit cards, the story of a single penny being worth millions is a powerful reminder of the tangible magic that still exists in the world of coins. Imagine walking into a convenience store, paying for a soda with a handful of coins, and unknowingly handing over a $17 million piece of history. It's happened before with rare coins. Could it happen again? That's part of the magic. That slim possibility keeps the dream alive for collectors around the globe. The journey of the 2000 1-cent coin from a forgotten mistake to a celebrated masterpiece is not just a story about a rare coin. It's a story about chance, about the imperfections that make things special, about the human capacity to recognize and cherish rarity when it appears. It's about how the tiniest anomaly can create waves that ripple across decades, captivating hearts and imaginations. And in that way, the 2000 1-cent coin is more than just metal. It's a symbol of hope, of luck, and of the enduring allure of the unknown. So next time you hear the jingle of coins in your pocket or toss a penny into a fountain and make a wish, remember, sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest value. Sometimes, history hides in plain sight, just waiting to be discovered. Thanks so much for joining us today and diving deep into the incredible story of the 2000 1-cent coin. If you enjoyed this journey into one of history's most fascinating numismatic legends, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our next incredible discovery. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because treasure could be just a penny away.